Hi, my name is Arthur Babayan. Today I'll talk to one of the most influential people in Los Angeles, a person who has direct influence over the society, over the youth, and their future. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Carmen Trutanich. And he also has an up-and-coming election on March 5th, on which day we should go out and support him. Welcome to our show. For those of us who don't know much about your background, can you please elaborate on that?
Sure. Thank you, Arthur, for giving me the opportunity to come onto your show and talk about what we've been doing in the city attorney's office in the race for Los Angeles city attorney. My background's much the same as probably yours. I grew up in a very ethnic family. My parents were brought here as little kids. I mean, before they were 1 and 2 years old, and they were very simple people. My dad worked in a cannery 48 years. He was one of the very first employees of Starkist Tuna. Spent 48 years working there. I had the honor when I was 15 and a half years old to get my work permit and actually work with my dad in the cannery. I worked there for 14, 15 years myself while I was going to school. I was one of 7 children in my family. I was right in the middle, 4 boys, 3 girls. I was the middle child. So I got picked on by everybody. My mom, great lady. It was really sort of a immigrant family turned all-American. My grandmother and my grandfather on my mom's side lived with us. And so my mom and my grandmother basically ran the house. And my grandfather was a fisherman. And my dad worked in the cannery. We grew up like every other kid on the block. You look back and you go, I never felt poor.
That's right.
You always felt like your parents were always there for you. I had to work for everything I wanted in life. I started working when I was 9 years old in the grocery store across the street on 9th Street, stocking bottles in the back room, so to help out. And I've never stopped. My dad and my mom were very big on education. They wanted to make sure that their children were educated, and all six of us went to college. One of us did not, but she married well. And we had a great family. I could just remember the family parties, the baptisms, the graduations. There was all of the birthdays, the anniversaries. It was, and my uncle and his 4 kids lived next door to us. And it was just family. Family is the greatest experience that children can have in order to build a healthy adulthood.
Speaking of family, can you tell us more about your family?
I have 4 children now. And I was in their life, and my wife was in their life every moment of every day. And both of us worked. She worked during the week, or during the weekends, and I worked during the week. So I had the kids on the weekends. She had them during the week, and we had opposite schedules in terms of work, but we were in those kids' lives. My daughter is a deputy district attorney today, assigned to the Compton Courthouse sex crimes. My son Nick my daughter Kristen, by the way, is the DA. My son Nick is an assistant United States attorney. He's down here in the Los Angeles courthouse. He was working in general crimes and had an opportunity to volunteer to go to Iraq. And he went to Iraq to do terrorist trials. Came back, went back to the Justice Department, and now he's doing Homeland Security and gangs for the United States Attorney's Office. Great son, just a true patriot. My daughter, Kimberly, I just got off the phone with her just a minute ago as I walked into the studio. And I try to reach out to them every day. You never stop being a dad, She's a special education teacher down in the San Marcos area. And she teaches the the most severe of the severe challenged children. And, you know, she's a very special child because not everyone could do that job and still maintain their sanity. But she is a very loving kid, and, you know, I'm so proud of her. And then my youngest one, Caitlin, is also an educator. She's a teacher. She just got a job in Long Beach teaching. And again, all four of those kids, we spent and invested many, many hours. Parents, if you want really good children, spend the time with them.
That's right. It sounds like a whole family is in public service. Is that something that just came about, or is it something that you taught your children from the beginning? You know, just to grow up and serve the public more than themselves.
You know, it's interesting because if you start from the very beginning, my father came here as a baby, yeah. and I may have misspoke. My mom was actually born here, and you know, they taught us to give back. It was all about sharing what you had with others. And that's why I can just remember all the people all the time at our house. Mm-hmm. And I try to teach that to my children, that life's not about taking. Life's about giving back. Life's about creating a better place for the guy next to you, because if you do it for him,
it's going to be for you.
It's exactly right. And so my children have taken up on that, and I'm very proud of them. Every single one of them is in the public service, and I just am so proud that they're giving back to their communities. You know, it's a wonderful thing. But getting back to my office, yeah. You know, I never intended to be the city attorney of LA. I was a DA, yeah. in the hardcore gang unit of the district attorney's office, and I tried some of the most severe cases that a person can try. I actually tried a death penalty case, and I was in Compton. And back then, when I was in the gang unit, you know, 30% of the murders, and back then we had about 1,100, 1,200 murders a year in LA County. 30% were committed in the Compton Judicial District.
Are we talking early 90s or
early mid 80s?
Mid 80s, okay.
And it was like the Wild Wild West. And I learned back then that there's got to be a better way, because gangs were just getting bigger and bigger. And back then, it was the influence of drugs was just starting to permeate the gang lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, the money that was associated with it, the killings over who's going to have what territories. And I began to see that we're never going to arrest our way out of that problem. No. That there's got to be another formula other than hooking people up and taking them to jail. And it starts, and I believe it starts with kids. Mm. You know, everything I saw in prosecution, and I was a prosecutor for, you know, a long time, for 9 years in the DA's office. And what I learned from that is that education is the key. You know, especially for guys with a lot of vowels in our names like you and I. Yeah. You know, that the more educated you are, the more that you do in terms of putting, you know, money in the bank called your brain, the more likely you are to be successful in your life and have a good life. And the message wasn't getting home to the people that I was prosecuting. They were looking for the quick way, drugs and crime, and that's a dead-end street. But the problem was they weren't getting the message at home. They weren't getting the message in their houses. And so we need, in our schools, to start teaching life skills to kids who are 4 years old in preschool, all the way to the 9th, 10th grade, letting them know the value of education, to stay in school. Because by staying in school, the chances of you having a greater life, the chances of you doing what you want to do, that dream that you have, completing that dream of what your life is going to be like, is more likely to occur. But they're not getting that message. And so I think, you know, we had a great run in our first 4 years. I mean, crime is down 23%. We have been knocking the ball out of the park in terms of defending the Treasury. We're winning and getting favorable verdicts in about 92% of the cases that we are actually, taking to trial. And we've tried more cases than any other city attorney. We're producing more ordinances. My predecessor had 195 in his best year. So far this year, we're at 245, and we've still got a couple of months to go. So we're very successful in what we do in the office. And plus, outside counsel. When I took office, we were spending $30 million on outside lawyers. Now we're spending $8 million. And the number of lawyers that we had, when I started, we had 647 lawyers. Today we have 470. So we're keeping crime down. We're defending the Treasury. We've saved over $285 million in judgments. $285 million. Can you imagine if we had to pay out half that, what they would have done to the city?
If we could elaborate a little more about the communities, about the gang problems that we used to have in the early 80s, 90s, and we have some of it now too. But from what I see from going through the public school system myself, I see a big change. Even at the high school that I went to, it's a very big change. And you could notice it simply by seeing what the kids are wearing, the type of music that they're listening to, the friends that they're associating with, and the activities that they do during the regular day. Where before they might have, just hang out and smoked a cigarette or something, or did a criminal act. Now they don't do any of that. So what do you think is the cause of the change that we have right now?
There's a whole lot of societal changes that have occurred. When I was in the gang unit, and you got to remember, I came from a very ethnic household. Down in the harbor, I grew up in San Pedro. And it was very geographically contained. Mm-hmm. So we never had gangs or a lot of drugs and things of that nature down there at that time. Mm-hmm. And when I got to the district attorney's office, my eyes were like, silver dollars, I couldn't believe that people were so violent one another. And so when I transferred into the hardcore gang unit of the district attorney's office, and I began to see what these gangs did and how they operated, and trust me, I took a lot of training on gangs and gang membership and what gangs did and how they operated and how they attracted members, how you got into a gang, how you got out of a gang, mm-hmm. all of that. I learned that this was a phenomena that was only gaining more speed. Remember, gangs didn't start in the 80s.
No.
And they didn't start in the 70s. Yeah. But they were on an uphill climb and getting stronger. When I was in the gang unit, Compton was ground zero. Mm-hmm. And crime was rampant. Today it's different. And a lot of things have happened. There was no internet back then. True. There was no immediacy of communication. A gang would commit a crime, a murder, or whatever, and then you'd see graffiti from that gang in another gang's neighborhood, mm-hmm. and that was their way of saying who did it.
Exactly.
Today there's just so many other things get reported. Police work is so much more exact. Mm-hmm. These guys are caught before they even can drive away, mm-hmm. Because of the science and putting these cases together.
Is that because they're using technology more?
Oh, yes. Okay. Much more than what we had back in the 80s. DNA was just coming in. I think the science of DNA really didn't get to the forefront until the O.J. Simpson case. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things that have occurred. Our educational system became aware of what we needed to do. We put a lot of people in prison. Our prisons were packed. Yeah. We just recently released 40,000 people, and people are up in arms that we've got 40,000 people released to the streets because there's no room. And so we've kind of hit the tipping point, if you will, of how much are we going to spend on law enforcement in order to keep us safe. And it's gotten to the point where we can't afford to build more prisons. We can't afford to house these people. We can't afford to pay their medical. And so what we're doing is sending less people to prison. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be another shift here to see what happens as a result of that. AB 109 that came out of the, AB 109 came out of the Assembly last year. And, you know, if it was funded by the state properly, perhaps it could work. But what the Assembly did last year was shift the burden of law enforcement from the state to the local community. So we're going to be challenged here in the next couple of years. But that being said, crime is down because the police are doing a good job. LAPD and the Sheriff's Department, they're doing a great job of apprehending these guys. And then the District Attorney and the City Attorney's Office of Los Angeles, we're doing a great job of prosecuting these guys. And for me, I believe when you have a young offender who's done something relatively low level, minor, and that's what I prosecute. I prosecute minor offenders, misdemeanors. Yeah. But don't let that fool you, because 75% of what LAPD does every single day, and that's a big number. Wow. 75% of what those cops do every single day on the street comes through the city attorney's office. We handle those matters. And what's interesting is this. When I took office in July of 2009, we were reading and reviewing about 115 to 120,000 cases, police reports a year. And from those 120,000, we maybe file 75, 80,000 cases. Today, we're reviewing closer to 75,000, maybe 80,000 police reports, and we're filing about 55,000 cases. So you can see that our filings are down, the cases that were being presented to us are down, and that's because we're doing a good job in making sure that we're holding people's feet to the fire who commit crimes in terms of probation, and those people that need to be in custody are in custody. You're safer today than you were 4 years ago. Yeah. But that being said, you're not out of the woods. You know, just yesterday, day before yesterday, I announced a new gang injunction out here in the valley, in the Mission area, the Columbus Street gang. And we got them tagged to a gang injunction now because they were proliferating in the neighborhood. We did Rancho San Pedro. We did 38th Street. The deal is that you have to be vigilant with gangs. And the reason why is that we haven't done anything, I believe, that is pervasive in terms of educating kids to stay out of gangs. So gangs are continuing to grow. They're going to be continuing to have a large number of gangs, a large influence, and we're exporting gang membership all over the nation, from Los Angeles.
That's true.
But we don't have to be, because I have a vision, and that vision is this: if in every school, every day, every kid gets 45 minutes of just the value of education, the value of staying in school, the value of staying off of drugs. It's just a dead-end street. That message, the value of living a good, honest, wholesome life, of going to work, achieving your dreams through lawful means. If every kid got that, if they did it, they started at pre-K and went to 9th grade, that'd be 1,000 hours of that message. Wow. Impactive. And let me tell you why. Right now, as we sit and talk today, 78% of those people in state prison are high school dropouts. 22%
never made it.
No, 22% have a high school degree or higher. So if you have a high school degree or higher, just by looking at those numbers, you're 4 times less likely to go to prison. You're 4 times less likely to get in trouble. because you have a basis for education that opens a door for you to get a job.
So because we see the culture changing a little more, would you say that's because of the public education system? Is that changing, or is it because the families are changing, or kids are finally seeing that there is no payout in being gangs, right? Because before, when they were joining gangs, they didn't really have anything to do, and then the drugs came in, so that was a way of doing business. And right now, because we have looser laws on marijuana laws and everything, I think that selling drugs on the streets is not as big as it was before. I might be mistaken, but would you say that loosening the marijuana laws is the reason why we have fewer minors in prison right now?
No. I think that we've got to remember that we had 178,000 people in prison in California, and we released 40,000 people. We have more people in jail than our jail can support. That's right. We have a federal court that said, hey, release some people because you got them stacked 5 high in the gymnasium, and that's not a lifestyle. There's a whole list of reasons why crime is down. And one of which, like I said, is that we're doing a better job in policing. 2, we're a very, very diverse society. Probably the most diverse society of anywhere else on the planet. Sure. It doesn't matter what your ethnic background. I'm the city attorney of LA, and I'm Croatian and part Italian. I mean, you're on TV, and I can tell you right now that you're not an Irish white American. Okay? I mean, at the end of the day, you are measured by the character, the content of your character, not the color of your skin. Absolutely. Or your accent. And I think that has the educational process of accepting people and allowing those doors to open. Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, basically opened a lot of eyes and created a lot of avenues. Rosa Parks. You can't, Barack Obama, the election of our president. You can't no longer cubbyhole people because of what they look like. It's who they are inside, their mental capacity, their ability to do the job. And I think that the creation of opportunities for the diversity, for the diverse population of the city, is the reason why crime is also on the down. Cops are doing a good job. Doors are opening. The problem is that we're not getting the message that these doors are opening to these kids that get here that don't get the message at home. We've got to get that message to every kid. When kids begin to realize that the doors will open, that you don't... My dad worked in a cannery. He came home every single night smelling like fish. Okay? I'm the city attorney of LA. I'm living proof that you can do it. Yeah. Kids need to understand that, but for the grace of God, go they. They can do it too, but they have to work hard. Nothing is handed to you in this life. Nothing. You've got to work for it. You've got to earn it. You've got to dream about it every night and then go after it and seize it. And I think that if we get that message out, crime will continue to drop. I think that the more inclusive we become as a society, crime will continue to drop. I think that the more that we educate, we can't do what the state of California has done in the last couple of years. Cut our education budget by $2 billion and expect our kids to become geniuses. We're at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to education in this state compared to the rest of the nation.
Absolutely right.
We need to make hard, tough decisions in government as to what's important. Right now, for me, public safety is very important. 2, educating our kids. That's the future. If you owned a company and the guy who made your prized product was 65 years old, wouldn't you want to train somebody to take over his position, or would you let your company go without that trained person? Sure you would. You want that trained obsolescence. Well, why aren't we thinking that same way with our children, training them all to become great Americans, great citizens? The next 4 years in office, I'm going to focus on that. Listen,
Really?
I'm yesterday and today. You're today and tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And that kid that's in school, that's tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And we need to take care of tomorrow so that today will flourish when it occurs tomorrow.
That's absolutely right. And I think the biggest problem with politics is that everybody's thinking about today. What will people think about me today? You know, what will happen today? We don't really project 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. Everybody wants to, you know, make favors today, be good to people today, but, you know, do good things today. But we just like you said, making hard decisions, making tough decisions might look not very attractive at this point, but it will definitely pay off in the future.
Listen, you know, if you don't promote yourself today, you're not around tomorrow to help. So you have to, in politics, let people know what you're doing. The last 4 years, I learned that the hard way. Mm-hmm. Because if you went out there and asked the viewers of this program what I do, they'd have no clue what the city attorney does.
Yeah, that's true.
Every single thing legal in the city of LA comes through my desk. There are 7,000 lawsuits in the city of LA. I defend every single one of them. There are people that owe a lot of taxes. I go after those tax scofflaws. Mm-hmm. We've collected $15 million in taxes since I've been there, back taxes, since I've been the city attorney. We defend the council, the mayor, the Department of Water and Power, the airport, the port. We make sure that all the development agreements, like Farmers Field, when USC wants to expand their campus, mm-hmm. we wrote the development agreements for that. Loyola Marymount wanted to expand their campus. We wrote the development agreements for that. The Wilshire Grand, just the big project to refurbish the Wilshire Grand. We wrote the development agreements for that. This office has done a phenomenal job in terms of defending the Treasury, as I said, 92% favorable verdicts. But the problem that we've had is not advertising that. Because for me, I grew up in a very humble, environment, and you know how it is to be an ethnic. Yeah. You're always taught to be humble. Yeah. And but I'm changing that mode now. I need to get reelected. We need to continue what we're doing. We need to press this success that we've had to the next 4 years. And I really want to work on changing our educational system, on lobbying to get life skills into the schools, to get, one of the things, the programs, that we have in the office that doesn't get advertised very much is what we've done for gang members. Mm-hmm. A gang member gets in trouble. First time. No other record. He's an adult, because I handle only adults. Mm-hmm. He's 18 years old. He does a misdemeanor. Now, there's two ways of handling that guy. The old-fashioned way was to put him in handcuffs and take him off to jail. Yeah. But what do you do when you bring somebody to jail? You take a young kid who has relatively minor contacts with the prison population. Mm-hmm. You shove him in a prison with a bunch of other crooks, and what you've done basically is taken him to the university of let's do something nefarious, let's do something bad, okay? So
let's learn more ways of
breaking the law. That's exactly right. Let's make me a better crook. So what I do is if it's a first offense, minor crime, we have a program that they have to sign up for. First, they have to admit what they did was wrong. Mm-hmm. And then I hold that case off to the side. Mm-hmm. I don't sentence them. I tell them this. If you're not a high school graduate, in the next 18 months, you got to go back and get your high school degree. Mm-hmm. While you're getting your high school degree, you're going to take these classes in life skills. You're going to learn about the value of education. You're going to get an anti-drug message. You're going to get an anti-violence message. You're going to get a parenting class. You're going to learn how to be a human being. Things that maybe you didn't get growing up for whatever reason. You just missed that lesson. Then we're going to put you into an apprenticeship program so that you can learn how to get a job. And then we're going to help you get a job and you're going to start working. And if after 18 months you've done all that, you bring that paper in that you pled guilty on, and I do this.
Wow.
And you got a carrot. You get a mulligan. You know, remember playing golf? You hit one into the rough and you pick the ball up and you throw it in and they say, oh, that's a mulligan. Okay? Well, you got a mulligan. Everybody gets a break. One time.
I think that's the most important thing that you just said, because as an 18-year-old, if you go to jail, that's a permanent record. You can't get a job anywhere, and they go right back to crime again.
That's exactly it. You can either create a life or create a rap sheet.
That's it.
I choose to create a life. The way you make us all safe is by taking that guy who's prone to commit a crime and turning his life into a positive and showing him another way. Showing him that the path he's on is the wrong path. Even a gang member. Look we have gang injunctions. And if you're on a gang injunction, you can't hang out with guys. Now, I've had 76 people since I've been there. I've created an avenue to get people off of gang injunctions, if they want to get off of gang injunctions. And if you're out there right now and you're on a gang and you want to get off that injunction, I'm going to tell you, first off, you're not going to be able to fool me. I grew up in the streets. I understand. I've had 4 kids and they've tried to fool me too, and they can't. All right? So I get it. All right? But if you want to get out of that gang injunction, you want to get off that gang injunction, stop. Stop associating with the gang. Start getting a job. Start turning your life around. Start becoming a law-abiding citizen. And when you start doing that, send an application into us to get off. And we'll investigate you. But if you're on probation, if you're still capering, if you're still hanging out with the gang, don't waste your time, because I'll find out and I'll deny it. But if you truly want to turn your life around, I'm here to help you. I truly am here to help you, because that's what we need to do to keep us safe. And that's why crime is down.
That to me sounds like an opportunity, actually.
It is.
Because before we didn't have that opportunity. Now there is that opportunity.
Exactly.
And we are living in America. This is the land of opportunity. And I think that's just great. That's one of the most important points of your whole campaign, I guess. Because you are really giving these kids a second chance, and you're showing them that we do care about you. Because if you slap the cuffs on them the first time, they're going to say, well, this is the system, I don't like it, and I'm going to go against it.
That's right.
And I have no other choice, because I have a criminal record. Nobody's going to give me a job. So that just gives them more excuse to commit the crimes that they do in the future.
Listen, as a parent, when you tell your kids not to do something and you force them not to do something, they just do it behind your back and you don't know about it. What you need to do is educate them as to why they shouldn't be doing something. Exactly. You need to let them understand that by doing this, you're creating a risk of this. And you have to evaluate that. Life is a series of decisions. I used to tell my kids all the time when they go out, smart kids, smart choices. Make a smart choice out there. But I can't control whatever choice you make. It's your choice. Make that smart choice. If you're out there and you have a choice to turn your life towards education, turn it. If you've already turned your life the other direction, try to turn it back. If you need help, contact the city attorney's office. We'll try to find you the help that you need in order to turn your life around. One thing that this office is now is an office that understands. I've been a prosecutor. I've been the toughest prosecutor you could see. I was a hardcore gang prosecutor. I was an environmental crimes prosecutor. I put the first environmental criminal in state prison. From all that prosecution, of trying all different types of cases, I learned that the best tool to stop crime is not a gun, is not a billy club, is not a can of mace, is not a police officer. It's education. It's educating those who are going to be in the position to commit crimes not to do it.
I think that's the best note we could finish this interview on. I really thank you for coming here. And please come back again, because we are trying to reach the youth, and we are trying to pass on the positive message. And through different shows I do it, but you are the guy who actually implements all these things that could affect our future and our present.
I'm where the rubber hits the road, man. My office is where the rubber hits the road. This is not about theories, okay? And this is not about platitudes, and this is not about political speak, you know, where you're talking in all these generalities. It's the real deal in my office.
You do the work.
We do the work. You know, crime is down, and you're safer because we're doing the work, not because of some idea that's far-fetched out there. We're doing it, and we'll continue to do it to keep you safe.
So the ultimate message is March 5th. Everybody should vote for Mr. Trutanich, Mr. Trutanich for Los Angeles City Attorney. Mr. Trutanich, it was a pleasure having you at the studio. Please come back again. Arthur, thank you. And I want to reiterate that we've got a long way to go. Not everybody wants to go out and vote because it's an inconvenience, but it's a franchise to keep this country safe, to keep Los Angeles safe. I'm imploring everybody who hears this, if you're 18 or older and you're registered to vote, please, please go vote. And hopefully, after hearing what you've just heard and knowing what we stand for, you'll vote for me for Los Angeles City Attorney. I'm #1 on the ballot on the City Attorney category. Carmen Trutanich. Carmen Nooch Trutanich. Nooch is a nickname my mom gave me a long time ago. For Los Angeles City Attorney. See you there on March 5th.